Crowd work is a very, very important tool for stand-up comedians or stage performance artists where you are interacting with the audience. And crowd work essentially means you're working the crowd. You're talking to them. You're trying to get jokes out of them on the spot, and people love on the spot comedy. They value that this was not prepared, this was not pre-performed, and it happened right there, and it creates a whole new energy. Comedians like Russell Peters and many other comics are very, very popular for their crowd work. Sometimes their entire shows for hours together are completely crowd work, and audiences love, something happening to people sitting right next to them or in that same room, and how it happens spontaneously. But crowd work is an art that can be learned. There are a few tricks to the trade. One of them is that you intrinsically have to be okay with flopping, and that is very difficult to do because some people are so insecure that they want pre-written, completely, prepared content, and they want to go in and perform it just the way they planned. But stand-up comedy doesn't work that way. A play or a skit might work that way, but in stand-up comedy, if your audience is not ready, you should not continue with your content. You should start working on your audience, get them up to speed. Once they are primed for your jokes, you need to release your jokes. And this can happen in any permutation and combination. I've seen so many comedians, and me myself, when I started out, I used to do my entire 1 hour regardless of the audience, and I used to lose them midway, and things used to go very downhill. It used to bomb, nobody used to laugh, audience would start leaving. And then when you start talking to them in between, you start interacting with them, they suddenly are now in the spotlight. They know that, oh, now I have to respond. And people around them become alert, and suddenly the audience is a lot more primed to listen to you. Without them listening to you, your jokes are not going to work. Because unlike other performance arts, stand-up comedy is not a passive format. It is an active format where both sides, the audience and the comedian, have to interact. Half the script is there. When I say a punchline, I have to pause because it's their line to laugh or clap. If that doesn't happen, it'll sound flat, kind of like right now because there's no audience. But that is a very important thing, that the audience, being the other half of the script, has to be engaged and has to respond to you. How do you do that? One thing is, when you start talking to the audience, the first thing that you can work on is their names. We are very fortunate in India to have amazing set of names. Like you can have anybody out there. And that's something you can practice at home also, is when someone tells their name, you come back with a line that makes fun of their name or accentuates them or gives that a character. Like, for example, I've asked somebody a name, and a girl got up and said her name was Seema. I was like, अच्छा, तो आपके लिए जवान लड़ रहे हैं, because सीमा के लिए जवान लड़ रहे हैं, So you get the border between Pakistan and India, and you pun on that. Maybe a girl's name is Kaveri, and then you can bring the Tamil Nadu-Karnataka conflict. Or if someone says name is Rahul, हाँ नाम तो मैंने कहीं सुना ही है. So that is, Rahul naam to suna hi hoga. So you can make certain pretexts on names, and some names are like very weird. Like, I think I once heard a guy called Puttu or something, and I said, your parents don't love you because they've not really put any thought into your name. And when you start making these small burns, small mocks, audience around start laughing. They start giggling, and it kind of breaks the ice. The second thing to do in crowd work is to see what their reaction is to your questions. Everyone responds differently. Like sometimes some people, respond by giggling. Like I've seen this, sometimes the girls giggle, they cover their mouth and they laugh like this. So I noticed that in a few comedy shows that I see a lot of girls and some guys covering their mouths and laughing. And I thought that could be a good way to talk to them. So I came up with a response. So I asked them, why do you cover your mouth and, laugh? The smile is the best part of your face, and you put all this makeup, lipstick and all this gloss, and when it comes to showing the best part, your smile, you cover it. And I'm looking at their response because I have a comeback. Most of the time they would say something like, I don't know why I do it, it just became natural. And then I say, the real reason why girls do that is because that's the only way they can show their nail polish and manicure. And they put it on the faces like so that gets some people laughing. There's one weird answer I got from one dentist girl once when I asked her, why do you cover your mouth when you laugh? And she said, you are an ENT and you'll probably pull out my tonsils. So, your audience also starts getting creative. They start telling you things and you build off of it. And then you start building a connection with some people and you keep referencing back to them in between your shows. Call them again and again. Say that, okay, I met a character like this guy. Keep bringing them up. That takes you a long way. You start taking the audience as a part of your script, and they start feeling more and more engaged with you. So their reactions is one thing. The second thing is the style at which they react. Like some people are very soft, some people are very confused, some people are very dominant. Like I've seen some people who give their answers very loudly, like, what's your name? My name is Vikram. They're like, why you said so loud? Then you take their reaction and put it in an artificial setting. Like, what if this guy was an auto driver? What if this guy was a shopkeeper? Or what if this guy was a surgeon or a pilot? Like, would you want your pilot to say, we are going to land right now? Something like that. And the audience is going to laugh. So there are a lot of ways that you can pick with the reaction of the audience, their names, their style of response. The other thing is, ask them their jobs. There are a lot of stereotypical job jokes that you can make. Many people say I'm in software or hardware. Like there's this movie called It that came out recently. I think it was a horror movie. So during that time when someone said I'm in IT, I was like, I know, I saw a movie made on you recently. You should pick a natural recent thing and you give that out to them. Some people say they are lawyers. So I'm like, okay, so you're a good husband because you lie or something like that. There's a lot of these references you can make, and this has to be practiced. You have to imagine, okay, what if this guy, this name comes up, this profession comes up, this reaction comes up, what can I say? Have some preset templates ready and keep practicing them. Just like your jokes need practice, your crowd work needs equal amount of practice. And you can do that with your friends. Like with your friends, they say something, try to make a line, try to make a quick responsive comeback, see how they respond to it. The other thing that you can do is capture on people's thinking by asking why questions. Why have you come here? Like, how come you want to listen to people? Right? And you can pick on that, like, okay, you're a girl, you're supposed to talk a lot. Why have you come to listen? Okay. It's a bit stereotypical, it's a bit feminist, but you can go a little bit to just get the audience break out of the ice. What are you drinking? Why are you drinking it? Why is there a gap between the two of you? Are you friends with the just prefix before it? Stuff like that. So once you start doing shows and talking to a bunch of people, you'll start coming to know what responses work, what responses don't work. Sometimes it goes completely bad. You might say something really bad and it might make the audience extremely awkward. Sometimes people get angry. Why are you picking on me? You need to find the right guys. Some people who are giving you responses, and you'll find these guys. They spontaneously start talking to you also. So this kind of crowd work is really important, and it can save your show. Like if your show is dipping, your jokes are not working, stop, start talking to the audience. Pick on their names, jobs, responses. What are they saying? How are they reacting? Bring them up into your act, and then you have a much more well-knit show. Some other references that you can always make is marriage references work, relationship references work, and stereotyping in India. People kind of expect some of that, like, if you are from Gujarat, you're stingy, or you're Marwadi or Sindhi, you're stingy, or you are Punjabi, so you're going to drink, you're going to be loud. Some of that people expect. Too much of that, it becomes done to death. But you can use some of these things in your crowd work and start practicing that. And that's very important. One of the most common mistakes that people do when they're trying to do crowd work is they do not paraphrase the sentences and responses given by the audience. See, this is very important, especially when you're doing a show where there are 500, 600 people, sometimes 1,000, and lots of people are there and you're interacting with just the first row. People at the back can't always hear their response. You have the mic, they don't. So somebody might say, their name, what's your name? You might say Kailash. So you have to paraphrase it. Oh, Kailash. What do you do, Kailash? Oh, I work as an IT company. Oh, you work in an IT company. So you have to paraphrase so that the rest of the audience also knows your content of discussion plus your punchline that you make on it. And that doesn't come easily, doesn't come naturally, but you have to bring that habit of paraphrasing the response in some way. Maybe not exactly, but to get the gist of the point so that someone sitting in the last row in the corner is also saying, like, he understands what both sides of the conversation are and what your joke is. Otherwise, what will end up happening is the first row and people around them will start laughing because they are hearing everything. Others start feeling lost out and think that, hey, I'm not involved in this. What is going on? And then they zone out. Sometimes they just feel left out and zone out. So paraphrasing is a very important skill to harbor when you're doing crowd work. The other thing is flattering. I see a lot of comedians go to insults very quickly. You have to pick the right audience for insults. Sometimes people do not like being publicly embarrassed, being publicly put down. Flattering works the other way. Nobody's going to get upset with flattering. So what I do is whenever I see any women in the crowd, regardless of the age, I kind of have a trap for flatter, like, which is an age trap that I call. So like, suppose if there's this woman and I ask her, are you from Bangalore? She's like, no. So when did you move into Bangalore? So she would say 5 or 10 years ago. So then I do an age math to call her age being 20. So I was like, oh, so you moved in when you were 10. And then she must be 40, and she'll be like, oh, no, no. And then, she laughs because I have very indirectly tried to say that her age is much younger than what she looks. So she laughs, her husband has to laugh, people around them will also laugh. And, that way you kind of break the ice, come out also as a nice guy, making fun in a good way. And sometimes positive laughter is a good way to start crowd work rather than going to insults. You can use your insults for a few hecklers or someone who's interrupting you too much, but there is a way to do that in the right manner. So, paraphrase, flatter, interact with the audience, names, jobs, their reactions. These are the key things that you need to keep practicing while you're performing stand-up comedy. Thank you guys. Good luck for your crowd work the next time you perform. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to support rising stars reach their pinnacles of success, performance artists, please support them by buying their content, watching, sharing the content on www.gigsy.in. And maybe someday you could reach where you always wanted to. So take this platform, take this as an opportunity and support hard.